It's super fun to have you on camera. Hi, Tuli. Nice to see you. I am going to share my screen and see to that you guys see my presentation. So we will start off with my part. I will share a little bit about brand naming, and then I will leave over. Let's see. Jula, can you mute yourself? And then we will leave over to our guest, Anna-Karin Lingham, who is here. She's a branding expert. More about her later on. Let me share my screen. So Jula, who's noisy. It's fun to have Hungary on. Oops. We have so many people registered from. We have even a we have the US. Some people might watch this afterwards due to time difference. Okay, guys, you are so welcome. My name is Katarina Nilsson. I run a naming agency called Eqvarium, where we actually help people and companies, organizations to make wise decisions around their names for products, for their company name, or for services. And today I have a guest here, Anna-Karin Lingham. Can you wave, please, Anna-Karin?
Hello.
She's muted. Not have funny sounds in the room so far. All right, so let's get this party going. And all questions are so welcome. So let me see. Okay, so this is some of the clients and some names that we have helped companies with. So when it comes to names, it is challenging for everybody, basically. It is challenging when you are a solopreneur and you are thinking about what to name your company, and also when you are a large organization with a whole big portfolio of products and services, how to name them for them to communicate correctly, and also not to have a mess when it comes to different names. You might want to have like a sorted family of names. So these are some examples of names that we have created for Xera, is for the medtech industry. It's really fine wire that is inside of pacemakers and inside of our bodies. And the funny thing is that the producers of this really fine wire is Sandvik, which is a huge global industrial company, and they work with tools and with iron and really, or different kinds of coatings for metals. And for them to have this really specific medtech product, it didn't really fit to brand it under the Sandvik brand. So that's one of the examples when you need to maybe do something different and choose a different name for it to work on the market. Credento is a financial service, which is also Avarda. It's a payment service. And the central one, Zenuity, is a really cool company. It's a joint venture between Volvo Cars and Autoliv within self-driving cars. So this is huge right now. So it's more or less a software and a tech company, I would say. Yeah, there are so many different things and products that need cool names in the world. And it doesn't really matter what industry or what line of business you are in. You need to take care of your naming and your branding. Oops, sorry. And why on earth should I invest in brands? Isn't it enough that I have developed a product or that I have my company registered and I go out there with my services. Well, you know that we have the huge advantage nowadays to be able to get global and launch out in the world really fast. So global is the new black, and we have challenges, the small companies as well as the larger ones, to actually stick out, to be noticed and be visible. There is a lot going on out there. So it's important to do that. So investing in your brand is a good thing. And also when you take a look at how companies are valued nowadays, so some of the large companies, if you look at their market value, up to 80 and over 80% of the market value is the brand. So brand equity is a term that is really well, important, I was to say, but you know, it is valuable for companies to with a brand. And also branding is about building relationships. So being something and someone for your target audiences, to have your tribe around you. And that is easier when you do it in a conscious way, and having your brand in mind. And when it comes to selling, of course, you help your clients and your customers to make decisions, and we do that. We make decisions all the time, and we think we're very rational and very logical, and we think our decisions are made from our minds. But we know better than that now, don't we? We know that it's our gut instinct somewhere. When you have comparable products on the shelf, for example, there is something that actually makes us choose and pick one of them. So that's all in the brand. It could be starts with a name, and then you need to fill the name and the brand with content and an experience. More about that later on. And if we take just a quick look at some of the trends that we see in the brand naming area, is that companies and organizations choose to have more of a helicopter view on naming, so that the different names go together in a good way, and that they actually create an impact on the market. We also see that also smaller companies, they want professional help. They see that it is challenging.
Katarina, it's Caroline here. We can't see your slides. Can you please put them up so we can see them properly? We can only see half the first slide.
Half the first slide. Thank you for saying that.
So we only see it as your screen. We don't see it in presentation mode.
Aha. Thank you. How do I do that? Okay, so if okay. Give me 1 sec. Why is that?
Har du testat den längst ner till höger där, ser det ut som någonting. Om du trycker på full screen längst ner, kan det vara den?
Exit show. Let me do this.
Right at the bottom, next to the 100% slide, there's a button there. That should give you full screen.
This is so weird. It is changing. Okay, so is it better, guys?
No, it's the same. We can see your screen, but not the full presentation.
I didn't share it yet. Resume share. And where is my presentation now? It's so funny. It was here. What on earth? Do you see it now?
Yeah, yes, but it's very weird, but it's still a screen, so we don't see it as in presentation mode.
Oh, that's so funny, because we do here. I'm not sure how to... Is it better?
That's the same. It's only your screen, so no presentation mode.
That's what you get.
Sorry about this, guys. Oh, that's weird. Resume to share. New share. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you see it?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh my God. Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so we see that also smaller companies want some help with naming. And also business to business, they are stepping up big time in the naming game. So when I started this, this business back in 2001, I've been working with brand naming for many years now. It was mainly consumer companies that took help with naming. And now I love to work with B2B companies because it's so much fun. They get so good results when they actually work in and are aware of what they're doing. So you get really good results. That's funny. I love that. And another thing that we see is that we go more and more from feature-based names to more emotionally driven names. That you would like the names to evoke something in you and really catch you in another way. So we don't prefer these techy, informative names anymore. So that has changed over the years as well. As has descriptive names, or many people still think that they want descriptive names, but it goes more and more and moves towards more associative names. So you can associate to hopefully the personality of your company or something like that, what you want to be in the world rather than what you actually offer for the time being, because that could be really limiting for your business. And we also see that companies desire to have help throughout the whole process to really get the decisions in place in the end as well internally.
Katarina, could you give us some examples of these descriptive and associative names?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Yes. So I helped a wedding planner or wedding planning company some time ago. And so wedding planner, for example, would be a really, if you say weddingplanner.com, that's a truly descriptive name for a wedding planner, right? What they chose in the end was a name that is Merry Day, which plays with marriage and also being merry. So Merry Day for a wedding planner is more, it associates to the benefit that the clients actually get when they buy the services. So Merry Day versus wedding planner, it gives a different feeling. So can you see the difference with that example?
Yes, definitely. And it's a great name. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and now I want to have my next slide. And how do I do that? This is so weird. Okay, cool. It wasn't difficult. Okay, so risks with poor naming. So if you choose something that is a bit descriptive and very similar to what everyone else in your line of business names themselves, no one will remember you. You will just lose the game by not being seen at all. And also, when you choose something that is limiting, it could highlight just one part in your offering today. You might limit your possibilities tomorrow as well. If you are a creative person or you have a company that evolves over time, the chances are big that you are going to develop your offering. So it is a danger when you choose a name that reflects only a part of your offering. And also another risk is that you choose something that is really hot today and that doesn't really feel very cool and trendy tomorrow. And the name can mean something really rude or be really difficult to pronounce in another language if you don't check it linguistically and culturally. And also, when you don't do your legal assessment, you can actually infringe on other companies' intellectual property rights and get sued. And if you choose something and you start to use a name without protecting the name, you might not be able to own it and control it. So other companies or other people can actually use the same name, which could cause problems for you. And you will not be able to build the value when we talked about brand equity earlier. So that are some of the risks when you don't do your homework. So these are just a few examples. The Mitsubishi car model Pajero, Pajero in Spanish is a really, really crude and rude word. It means wanker, so masturbator. So I've heard that in Chile, no man would ever drive a Pajero. So they actually renamed the car model to something else on that very market, and in Spain also, which is a huge investment, of course. But of course, they lose a lot of market share if you're not able to use the name on certain markets. And while a linguistic check costs a few, I mean, it's nothing. It's a very, very cheap insurance. And Dong Energy, this is so funny. It is a Danish company, and they recently renamed to Ørstad, which is more of a geographical name. And Dong, well, it's a name for penis in English, right? Or even dildo. So I think that's super fun. That's totally my kind of humor for an energy company. Yeah, I know, it's so funny. So you need to be aware of these things. So a healthy name supports your brand. It sounds good and communicates well in your different markets, and can be used in storytelling. I will show you an example of that on the next slide, I think. And a really good name works now and also in the long run. So if you take into account how long your life cycle is going to be for your product or your company, that's a really good measure. So if you imagine that you will be on the market for 10 more years or even longer, you need to make sure that the name works now and later on as well. And also that it allows expansion, both of your offering, but also into new markets when you are a success. So it's a good thing to actually tailor your suit a few sizes bigger than you are today. So a healthy name also supports your sales and creates brand equity. We talked about that earlier. And it is also registrable as a company name and or a trademark. And it works for you on the internet as well. So I won't talk about all of these. So I would like to just mention, say that the product family names in the center of this picture with these really old mobile phones back in the days when phones looked like that. So these are examples of names developed for Sony Ericsson. And in the assignment, what they asked us to do was they wanted to have more name-like names for their music phones for a younger target group instead of the alphanumerical denominations they had before. So they moved, that was in their brand strategy, to move towards more emotionally driven communication. So the names that we developed for the music phones, they wanted lyrical sounding names, were Yendo, Yiso, Spyro, and Silo. So they have this ring, so it works and it supports their storytelling for that target group. And they had another product group, their green heart phones, that they kind of are, they are eco-friendly, have recycled materials or something. So in the green heart phones, they chose to have 3 names. So the names we gave them were Aspen, Elm, Hazel, and Cedar, which makes it easy for them to communicate that story, basically. So those are just a few examples of how names actually can help you with your story and your storytelling. Do you have any questions? You can just scream. Okay. So these are some more examples. So when it comes to dropping the vowel, we have seen that for a while now. And I think the first time I saw it was Motorola, when they had one of their phone models called Razr. Do you remember that? Anyone? And now I'm not really sure how cool it is and how to, with this this way of naming your. It is very often seen in the tech sphere and in tech companies. And just be aware. So it could be a trend that passes. And if you're going to hang in there for a long time, you might not want to go there. And you see all these examples when you see a success out there, like Spotify, for example. Immediately there are a lot of Me Too names coming up. Shirtify, where you can buy tailor-made shirts online. I even have seen Potensify, where you can buy your kind of Viagra online and stuff like that. It is so funny. So if you have a serious business, I wouldn't recommend to just pick like a recipe of a naming that is from a successful company right now. So, and who knows when Spotify is out and something else is new and fresh.
How about on the I names? There's so many, I mean.
That's a great question. So all the I names, yeah. And it's so obvious that you have taken it from the idea that, oh, Apple is really successful and I'll just put an I before my name and I'll be safe. Well, the truth is, if you're too close to what they do, you might be sued. So there could be legal risks in doing that. It's not like they could own an initial I to everything, but you need to be careful. And more than that, the association and the communication that you see that you have to kind of borrow that formula, I don't know, it's not that unique. So you see it a lot. Yeah. And also as you see this Instabox, which I've seen here in Sweden, I also seen a Norwegian bank, Instabank, and it's also obvious that they use it from, they wouldn't have chosen this if Instagram wouldn't have been so predominant right now. And another comment, clever, down to the left here. It is VR, virtual reality, and you can even see the VR glasses on in the logotype here. And it is funny. So this company actually, they have their office in the same building as we are in right now. And the technological development goes so fast. So, I mean, yesterday we had a lot of 3D, and now we have a lot of VR with virtual reality, and it is fast moving to IR, which is immersive reality, and we have AR, which is augmented reality. So it is all changing very, very fast. So probably it won't be long until they feel that this name is obsolete for them, that it is too narrow to play with VR, and they won't be so happy, I guess. Exactly. Like it did when all the companies had IT in their names, or even com or data back in the day. That was really the cool thing. And now it's like, what? And all those companies change names to something else. Okay, so I will finish off my part of this this morning with 5 tips to choose a strong brand name. So I would say dare and be bold, have some courage, stick out, to stick around, have something that is really unique. So if you want your name to be tasty, even in a few years' time, it needs to be pretty al dente from the beginning. It's not always comfortable, and it shouldn't be. If it is too comfortable, it's probably a bland name. And I would rather say express who you are in the name, not what you are. You need to always express what you do as well, but not necessarily in the name. And dress for success. So do something and be a little bit bigger than you are today. And remember that assessment is necessary, the legal and the linguistic and internet. And if it's not fun for you, take help to get it done. I see so many entrepreneurs and so many companies that put a lot of effort in trying to solve all their naming things internally, and it takes a lot of time, and sometimes the results are not that great either. So take help with what's not fun for you. So thank you so much. Do you have any questions on that? I will change to Anna-Karin's presentation here, and we'll swap places. Yeah. Så nu var det så att vi inte ville ha, we wanted to have. It goes into the presentation mode. Okay, let's do that instead. Come on. Hey. No. And now you see the presentation mode. So how did we change this last time?
No share.
No share. Stop. New share. Stop share. Share screen.
I don't think you should share screen. You should share presentation.
New share. Okay, let's see.
You open the window there.
New share. It is a bit weird. No, yeah, stop share, new share, pause share.
In the group of you, did you share your desktop?
Okay, let's see. So this case, what? Okay. This is so weird, people. And you still see only the presentation mode again. Oh, View. Presenter view. That's presenter view. That's not what we want to see.
What about the thing where it says swap to sleeves? That's from this one.
Yeah. Okay. Bear with me, please. Slide. Slideshow.
Där hade du den här
Mm. Stop share. Okay. Okay, this is slideshow. Nu bara ta slideshow. From current slide. The funny thing, this is not the first time I do this, but it seems like I have kind of never seen this.
Turn the program off.
Present review. Hur då? Vadå ringa in på Zoom? Men då blir det end meeting. Men du, vänta. Kan du prova om du kan få upp din presentation på din blad?
Kan jag det?
Okej, kanske. Du har den ju där, va? Okay, let's try this again, guys. This is a bit funny. From start. Yes, please. Swap display section.
Visst såg man en bild och så såg man nästa.
Ja.
Det är okej också. Bättre än ingenting.
Ja, fast jag vet inte hur jag kom dit.
Nej, precis.
Kan du bara kolla igen där hur det syns? So you still see just a part of the screen, do you?
Se på dig nu.
Me? Oh, that's...
That's it.
Good. I will leave over to Anna-Karin here.
So weird.
That is super weird, yes. Okay, thank you for your patience, guys.
Hello. At the moment I'm in Katarina's on the picture of Katarina, but I'm Anna-Karin. Nice to meet you. I will talk about brands and how to build a strong brand with a long-term focus. My name is Anna-Karin, and I just a short introduction to myself. I grew up in a small town in Sweden with lots of lakes, lots of nature, lots of mountains, and I brought the interest of nature and also music with me and creativity. So that is an important part of my life as an adult. I've studied to become an economist, and I'm specialized in marketing, and I've read some branding, of course, leadership and other things. And I believe that it's important to keep on studying all your life. At least it's important to me because it keeps my curiosity alive, and it also keeps me in touch with what happens in the world. And you can see some company names and logos in the lower left corner. Those are some companies that I've worked with. Some of them are in the food business, also a pharmacy, a bed business. Maybe you recognize the blue check pattern, which belongs to Hästens beds. And Katarina has told us a lot about names, and in this case, the name is important, but this company also has such a strong pattern that people recognize the brand just based on the pattern when they see it. And down on the, you can see here. Can you see this picture? Let's see what you see here. There you do. Yeah. Sorry, we're experimenting a bit here. And in the lower right corner, you can see a little bit more about myself. I sing, I enjoy nature, and I spend quite a lot of time up in the mountains because I really enjoy the outdoors. I just came back from the Inca Trail in Peru, which was fantastic. I've written a book in Swedish about personal branding, and I paint a bit. So that's about me. I would like to tell you a story. Yes, a businesswoman was out walking, and she met a stone cutter. This stone cutter looked quite angry, and he was working with his sledgehammer. And the businesswoman got a bit curious about what he was doing, so she walked up to him and said, "Hello, what are you doing? What are you working with?" And the stone cutter looked angry, and he answered in quite a grumpy and crabby way, "I am cutting stone." And this businesswoman realized that she should probably walk on, so she said goodbye, and she left and walked on. And after a little while, she met another stone cutter. And this person did not look neither happy nor sad, and he was cutting his stone with, well, ordinary energy. And the businesswoman went up to him and asked him, "Hello, what are you working with?" "Well, I am providing for my family, and I don't have time for small talk." So the businesswoman realized that it was better to move on, and she said bye and walked on. After a little while, she met yet another stonecutter, and this person was working with lots of energy, and he looked so happy and had a brilliant smile on his face. So the businesswoman was really curious about what made this person so happy when he was working. So she walked up to him and she said, "Hello, what are you working with?" And the stonecutter put the sledgehammer down on the ground and wiped the sweat off his forehead. And he said, "I'm helping to build a cathedral." We can work with the same things, but if we don't see our full picture, the full picture of what we're doing and how our own piece in the puzzle fits in with all the other ones, it's hard to do this with the energy and the motivation that we need. And it's actually the same when it comes to branding. If you can see the full picture of what you're doing instead of just a little small piece of what you're doing, then you will build a totally different brand than if you just do this tiny little thing that is not really a part of the puzzle. So I look at branding as a result of everything we say, everything we do, and everything that we send out. And also all the things that others say about us, other people on the market, our clients and our suppliers, our co-workers. It could be the name, as we've heard from Katarina, which is a really important part of a brand. It could be our routines, our strategy, our graphic design, what we promise the market, our social media presence. All those things and many, many others are part of like a big bowl of things which we stir around and send out to the market. And when they see this, they will get a perception of the brand and they will decide by themselves what they think about us. We cannot decide for them. We can only send them as clear and consistent signals as possible in order to make our brand clear and consistent out there in the market so that the right people, the right target group will choose us and buy us. There are so many different brands on the market, and I'm curious to know what you associate with this brand. So if you like, just unmute yourselves and let us know. What's your first association to this brand?
Something really happy.
Something really happy, yes.
All American.
All American.
Well, I think about a chilled, tasty Coke with some ice and some lemon.
Chilled, tasty Coke with some ice and some lemon.
And also Santa Claus. The
Yeah,
Coke.
Christmas, yeah.
Christmas, yeah. Yeah. Yes. And how about this one? What do you associate with this logo or this brand?
Nice packaging.
Nice packaging. Streamline.
But also devious.
Yeah.
I see them as like a necessary and annoying thing to have in the world.
A necessary and annoying thing to have in the world. Yes.
That's what I see in that picture.
Steve Jobs is in my mind.
I see the colors even though they're not there.
The colors, even though they're not there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For me, I have a sense of kind of awesomeness and something really cutting edge and progressive.
Yes, awesomeness, cutting edge. Thank you. And now, as you look at this, this is your own brand. You may be an entrepreneur, or you may be working in a company together with others. But I just want you to spend a few seconds associating to your own brand. And we will just be quiet and think for a few seconds about your own brand. And I'll get back to you. So I'm wondering, when you think about your own brand, is it easier or harder to associate things to your own brand than to Apple and Coca-Cola, for example?
I would say harder.
Harder?
Yeah, me too. Almost non-existent.
Non-existent, yeah. It could be because we have so many associations in our mind, and it's hard to kind of structure them and tell them in a clear way to ourselves. When we see, when we associate to Apple, for example, they have processed their information so well that they send out quite consistent messages to us. And in our own minds, with our own brands, it's a lot harder because we know so much. And if we have so much to tell and we have a hard time to send it out in a clear way, it may also be hard for the market to understand what we're trying to send out because there are so many messages. And in that way, we give the market so much freedom to perceive our brand in their own way, so that there may be a very, what should we say, not fussy, very inconsistent, unclear picture out there. Mm-hmm. Or it could be a clear picture. But I'm used to using a very simple model when it comes to branding. In this picture, you can see identity on the left side and image on the right side. And when we describe Coca-Cola and Apple, it's their image in our room or in our small community at this moment. We are describing the image of Coca-Cola, the outside view. Sorry. There's always a noise around an image, and the noise is based on all our values, our personal values, all our memories, preconceived consumptions. Do you say that?
Yeah.
Yes. And those affect the picture of a brand. When we talk or think about our own brand, it's the inside view, our own view of it, the identity. And those two, the identity and the image, are never exactly the same, because we know some things inside of the company which the market don't know, and they know and have lots of noise that affect their picture of it. But of course, if we have a clear and consistent and positive picture of our own brand, then we want the market to understand and know the same things in order to choose us and to buy us. So I always think that we need to build our brand and strengthen it from the inside and out. So we need to start with the identity and make sure that we have a strong sense of what we stand for, and then send it out in all our channels or our are ways of profiling the brand in order for the market to understand it. So if we start from the inside, the identity, there are quite a few things that we can think about depending on how much time and energy and money we may have to spend on it. I sometimes think that the identity is the same thing as a brand platform. Maybe some of you have a brand platform in your company, or you just have it in your mind. But there are different things that you can focus on there. It could be your vision, the shining star that you aim for in your company. It could be the promise, what you want to promise your market. The business idea is part of it, what you do and who do you do it for and in what way. The business idea doesn't have to be a very a whole story. It's just a few sentences that describe what do you do, who do you do it for, what is your main goal, and in what way do you do it that differs from other competitors on the market. Your values, I would say that your values are a very important part of your brand platform and your identity, because when you know a few words or a few values that you stand for, it's a lot easier for you to be consistent and always kind of bounce your decision towards your values and see, okay, is this in the right, does this go in the right direction when we look at our values? Does this decision lead us in the right direction? So always make sure that you have values that you stand for, that feel good, and that are mirrored on the market. Your goals, of course, are important. Your target group, so that you know who are you aiming for. You can't aim for everyone, because your business or your product, your service is not for everyone. So sometimes you need to be brave and make sure that you aim for a certain group, which may be smaller than you think. But if you're specialized, you may be more clear than if you try to send it out to everybody. Positioning is where on the market, where on the map are you compared to your competitors when it comes to, for example, quality or price or some other distinction that is important for your product or service. And territory is how far from your core business can you go before your brand is no longer trustworthy on the market. So if you sell women's clothes, can you also sell children's clothes? Can you sell men's clothes? Can you sell shoes? Can you sell computers? Oh, or maybe not. Maybe that may be the end of your territory. Maybe that's where people start thinking, oh, computers in this brand. So make sure that you know how wide is your territory, how far out can you stretch it before it becomes not trustworthy anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I was just thinking, there is a brand for socks that is called Happy Socks.
Yes.
Have you guys heard about that? It's a Swedish company, and I know that they have gone international, and they have done this extension of their brand. So I have a laptop pad where I put my laptop, like a little bag for it, and it's actually from Happy Socks. So do you have any comments? So Happy Socks, what could they, where and how do you know where it ends, as you said, your territory?
I would say that from the beginning, I think that Happy Socks, people would associate to socks. And when you build your brand, people start to associate the brand or the name to more things like the happy thing. When you build your brand, you kind of build in other values also. Maybe colors, maybe something else that is significant for this brand. And when that is strongly associated to the name and the brand, then you can start doing more things.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to know where the edge is. I would say you may need to experiment, but I'm sure that you have some sense of it yourself, and you can also ask the market, of course. Don't take too big leaps and too expensive ones.
It's so funny. For me, it's kind of weird. If I would to buy underwear, for example, and it says socks on my underwear, happy socks, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so thank you.
Yeah. It would be weirder at the beginning than it would be after a while.
Yeah.
When you know that happy stock stands for happiness and colors and shoe kind of. Yeah, that could be a laptop cover. Could be like a sock for your laptop. Yes. So that, yeah. But it's interesting when how much you can build into a brand. Even though a name is very important, you can also build other values into it after a while. But you need to be very good at that before you experiment too much. Yeah.
And maybe it is a little bit risky if they would have known that they would like to be a really big company. So maybe having socks in the name is a bit limiting. Yeah. And they could have chosen another way as well, and with ease be able to extend the offering infinitely.
Right. Yeah. They would have.
But there is no right and wrong here. That's so interesting as well. So as you say, you need to experiment.
Yeah, cool. But of course, if you have a larger vision of what you're going to do, and you ask Katarina for help with your brand name, you would probably not choose socks if you see that you will go further than socks. Yeah. So their vision have probably changed and grown. Yeah. So I want to show you just some of you have seen the TED talk with Simon Sinek, which talks about the power of why. When you know what you do and how you do something, it may give you the tactics of what you do, or what service you do, or what products you produce. But if you don't have the why are we doing this? It's hard to connect your senses. It's hard to connect emotions to this. Many companies don't have a why. And if you don't understand why you do something, you will never be fully successful. It's better for you to start with a why, to see, okay, why are we building this company? What is our vision? What are we actually aiming for? And then you look at how will we do this and what will we produce. I recommend that you watch Simon Sinek on TED Talks. There is a short version which is 5 minutes, and there's a longer TED Talk, 20 minutes, and he will describe this to you. It's interesting. He's a bit trendy now. This the power of why, or why you need to start with your why, is really something that lots of companies look at. And that's also a very important part of the brand. So if we look at this simple model again, we've looked at the identity of the brand platform, but out there, the image is really based on lots of different things. It could be who are your clients, who is working in the company, what services or products are you offering. Lots of different things will affect how the market perceives you. And you need to know that everything plays together with everything. So you cannot try to hide something or try to think that, well, it doesn't matter, because everything matters. As long as people see it in some way, it will matter for your brand. And don't let it scare you. Just make sure that you have a strong platform for yourself, and make sure that you know yourself what you stand for, because then it's easier for you to build the bridge between your identity and your image, which I call here the profiling. That is all the messages that you send out, all the channels that you have, like the name, for example. And I would like to show you the Johari window. Maybe some of you have seen it before. It's an old model from the 50s from America. And it says known to self at the top, what is known to yourself and what is not known to yourself. And on the left side, it says known to others and not known to others. And information that is known to you, but also known to others, known to the market, that's called the open field. And that's the only thing that you can communicate and have a conversation about, is the open field. Because all the things that you know that others, that the market don't know, that's I mean, there's no use in talking about that. And if the market knows something about you, a rumor, for example, that you don't know about, that's also not part of what you can communicate about. So make sure that all the things that you think are important for the market, you need to tell them in some way. It could be in an obvious way, or it could be under the surface, but still it needs to be shown in some way. So the profiling, the bridge between the identity and the image could be, of course, things like your name, which is very important. Also the business culture, your graphic design, your logo, how you act in social media, how you tell your stories, how you dress if you meet clients physically in real life, your marketing, your PR. Make sure that all those things, all the channels, all the ways that you talk to the market and to other people around you, that all of those things are connected to the same brand platform, that you send out the same signals, the same values, that everything is consistent. Because then you will send out a strong, trustworthy, confident, and clear signal to the market about your brand, and it will be a lot easier for them to perceive it in a clear way. So part of your brand is who works there. You and I, we all work in our companies, and if you have a strong company brand and lots of people who work there, or one person like in my company, it's important that what I stand for as a co-worker and what the company stands for, that those two parts are a good match, that they are good in relationship to each other, so that I, as a co-worker or an owner or a leader, can be a good brand ambassador, because the people are, or could be, the very best market channel for your brand. So if you've ever worked in a company where you thought that, oh, this is a fantastic place to be, and then maybe you work in a place where you had an ache in your stomach every morning when you went to work, you know the difference between being a happy and good brand ambassador and not so good brand ambassador. And you know also that you send out a lot better signals when you're happy at work than when you're not. So try to find the right people for your brand, and it's a lot easier to do that when you know what your brand stands for. And I work with personal branding too, so it's also important for people to know what they stand for in order for you to make the best match between the two. It's important to have a long-term focus for your brand. Make sure that the signals that you send out are for a longer period of time. You can have shorter campaigns, for example. They all need to connect to your long-term vision and your goals. But of course, you can send out shorter messages in your market campaigns. They all need to connect the past with the present with the future if you have a vision of a long-term brand. Be consistent in the long run. There has been a survey in Sweden a few years ago where they asked a few brands or a few companies, quite a few actually, hundreds of them, how they looked at branding. And they looked at how the companies focused on the brand in an external way and how much they focused in an internal way within the company. And they found that some companies looked at the brand as only the logotype. So when they saw a logo, they could say, oh, what a nice brand. And they would not think of it as anything more than the logo. And there would be some who only saw the brand as a way of communicating within the company, as a culture carrier within the company. And some instead look at the brand as a culture carrier for the sales force on the market. But the companies who were most successful were the ones who looked at the brand as the hub of the business. That's where everything started from, or where you could, it's like an umbrella. If you look at the brand as an umbrella of the whole business, of everything you say and everything you do, you will be twice as profitable as a company as the companies who looked at the brand as only the logo, according to this survey. And that goes back to looking at your brand as if you're building a cathedral, not just cutting stone. Look at it as if you're building this fantastic large cathedral, because then you will have a totally different effect on the market, you will have more joy in what you do, and you will probably become more profitable in your business. So with that, I would like to wish you the best with your brand. And if you ever must doubt something, make sure that you doubt your limits, not anything else.
Hey,
thank you very much. And you're very welcome to contact me if you'd like to discuss this further in any way, either personal branding or company branding, or the role as a brand ambassador. And this is my book. It's in Swedish. I may translate it into English further on. I'm not sure, but it exists. Thank you very much. And of course, if you have questions, I'm still here. I was talking a lot.
Thank you, Anna-Karin. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm so curious what you would like to hear more about. So we have a few more minutes. So what about you in the room here, guys? Do you have any questions? Anything you would like to explore further?
Do you have any stories? It's always interesting to hear someone you met that you helped. Stories are always interesting.
Yes. I helped a man. He was struggling a bit with his work, and we worked with his core values as a person, with his personal brand, and he found 3 or 4 of them which gave him lots of energy. And after a while, when I met him again a few months later, he told me that he was on his way into a meeting, and he was a bit not scared, but anxious about this meeting, because he knew that it would be a challenge. It was a tough meeting for him. He wasn't really, actually he wanted to stay home and sleep instead, but he needed to go to this meeting. And when he was on his way into this meeting, he realized that, of course, I need to be in my core. I need to look at my core values, and one of them was curiosity. So he went into this meeting with a focus on one of his core values, the curiosity. And of course, when he had this in his body and in his mind, he could meet all the other persons in the room out of curiosity instead of his anxious sense. And the whole meeting turned into something totally different than what he expected, and it was very successful. So once you focus on a value or 3 or 4 core values as a person, you will be more straightforward. People will perceive you in a more clear way than if you're everything. You have so many different values, so many different abilities, but you don't need to show them all, because they're kind of under the surface still doing their job. But if you focus, you get a lot better effect than if you don't. So that's part of the personal branding effect. Yes. Thank you.
Can I ask you something, Anna-Karin?
Yes.
So if you talk to a new company or a smaller company, and they haven't developed a brand platform so far, how would you say, what is a brand platform, and what should you think about? How can you develop your brand platform?
You can look at your brand platform almost as a compass. If you're a larger company, you need a larger platform. But if you're a small company, it could be enough just to make sure that you have your vision, your business idea, your core values, and your target group. I would say those things. It doesn't have to be a full book or a brieflet about everything, but if you're alone in your company, you need to make sure that it's clear to yourself. And sometimes it's better to write it down than to just have it in your mind. And also, of course, you need to show it to suppliers or clients to make sure that they understand what you stand for. But focus on a few things and don't make it hard for yourself. Just make sure that you are clear and consistent in what you stand for. So the brand platform, look at it as, I sometimes talk about the compass, the inner compass that you need in order to send out clear signals to your market.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. And so what would the difference be with a brand strategy and a brand platform? I get that question sometimes. So what would you answer?
Oh, I need to think.
That's okay.
I think they're all they're connected to each other very well. The brand strategy would build on the brand platform, I would say, because the brand strategy would be some ways of moving forward with your brand, and the brand platform would be the steady ground. I'm improvising in my mind here.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm kind of thinking like when in physics in school we talk about energy in different ways. It's like the stable energy and the moving energy. I'm not sure of the words in English. Rörelseenergi och lägesenergi. I would kind of say that your brand platform is your stable energy, where the platform that you stand on, and the strategy is how you move from it. The energy, the
Actions?
The actions, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's so cool. And what about you online guys? Do you have anything you would like to ask or any comments so far?
It's all just been so interesting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening and being part of this.
Yes. Anything else you would like to chat about? There is so much to say.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And you're welcome to visit my webpage and find some more about that.
Yes.
In English also.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for joining us today online. And if there's anything you would like to explore further, you know where to find Anna-Karin now, and also myself. I think you have my email address and the Eqvarium website you can check out as well. So I wish you all a really enjoyable day and week, and I hope to see you all live someday. So thank you so much, and thank you guys here in the room and online.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.